What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today we are going to be doing an in-depth look at the 2021 F-150, specifically looking at the different configuration options, engine choices, as well as max payload and max towing capacity. Reason why you want to watch this video is because it's going to help you make an informed decision about what type of F-150 configuration you should be going after. Now, as always, if you enjoyed the content that I'm putting out, make sure that you give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing with the bell notifications on, because I like to hide Amazon gift card codes somewhere in my videos, which means there's probably one hidden somewhere in this video. On top of that, I'm also going to ask if you enjoy the content, please consider sharing it with your social network. But let's dive right into it and figure out what the 2021 F-150 has to offer. Now, the 2021 F-150 does have a lot of new features and a lot of new things that are coming to it. One of the big ones is that it's got a complete redesign. But what we're going to do is take a look and start off with different configuration options. Starting off with the regular cab, it's available as the XL and the XLT in the 6.5 and the 8-foot box. So the XL is going to be more of your base truck. Really, the reason why you want to go with the XL is if you're looking just for a bare bones, very basic work truck. Regular cab is going to be just your regular 2 doors. When it comes down to the super cab, that's when we get into the 2 full doors with the 2 half doors that swing the opposite way. So benefit of that is maybe you need a little bit more space in the back. Very similar to the regular cab, available in 2 different box sizes, either your 6.5 or the 8-foot box configuration. And it's available in the XL, the XLT that has a few extra features, a few extra options, but one of the nice things is that in the super cab, we also have the Lariat. Lariat is when you take the comfort and things like that to the next level. It's going to give you a leather interior, heated and cooled front seats, and a number of other things that will be standard. So you really want to look at the Lariat as an option if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more of a luxurious ride. Next up is going to be the Super Crew configuration. Now, the Super Crew configuration is the one you want to use if you have kids in car seats, because it's going to give you the maximum amount of space for those seats. But the actual configuration choice is available in a number of different options there. We've got a 5.5 and a 6.5 foot box standard. We've got the base XL, the XLT, and then we've also got the option getting into that Lariat again. So Lariat with that leather interior, going to give you a number of different things. As I mentioned, you're going to have those heated and cooled front seats that will be leather instead of cloth, power folding side view mirrors, and a number of other options. If you want things to be a little bit nicer, look at the King Ranch as an option. The King Ranch is going to give us 2-tone paint, a very different style interior choice there on top of that. From there, we move into the Platinum edition of the vehicle that's available in either the 5.5 or the 6.5 foot box. And again, same thing, slightly different interior, different badging throughout the vehicle, things like that. And lastly, the vehicle that you see all over the place in Ford advertising is going to be the F-150 Limited. Limited is only available in the 5.5 foot box, but it is loaded up. It comes with a ton of different things. Looking at those max recline seats, which are available in the King Ranch and above, so you'll be able to get those max recline seats in the King Ranch, the Platinum, the Limited. So it's ultimately going to come down to what features are important for you and what is your overall budget. So definitely a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself when configuring the vehicle. From there, let's take a quick peek at engine options. So starting off with the base engine, which is your 3.3 liter TI VCT V6 engine. It's going to push out 290 horsepower and 265 foot-pounds of torque. Fuel type in this thing is going to be either regular unleaded or E85. So you've got the ability to use both types. Next up is going to be your 2.7 liter EcoBoost, your V6 engine. It's going to push out 325 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque, and it's going to be available as a regular unleaded for your fuel type. So you want to make sure that with regular unleaded, you're using a minimum of 87 octane for your vehicle. From there, we've got the 5-liter TI VCT V8 engine. So your 5-liter V8 engine, the go-to engine that people love, they think is the most powerful, but not. But having said that, it does have 400 horsepower, 410 foot-pounds of torque, and you can either use regular unleaded or your E85 in this one again. Next up is going to be your 3-liter Power Stroke, so your diesel engine. So those diesel engine lovers, this thing is going to push out 250 horsepower, 440 foot-pounds of torque, and fuel type is going to be either your ultra-low sulfur diesel, and then you've also got that B20 compatibility as well. From there, we move into our 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6 engine, which has more power than 2020 model, 400 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. The vehicle is also going to take just regular unleaded gas for this specific build. Now, lastly, the new engine, the thing everybody's talking about, the 3.5-liter Power Boost V6 hybrid engine. Really, really gorgeous engine. Looking at this thing, is going to be able to push out 430 horsepower and 570 foot-pounds of torque, very similar to the other turbocharged engines, just going to be using regular unleaded gas, your minimum 87 octane inside of this thing. So really, really nice look to it. And that's going to be a summary of the different engine choices available in this vehicle. When it comes down to max payload options, the regular cap with a 3.3-liter engine, you're going to max out at 1,985 pounds. That's going to require the 6.5-foot box and the 4x2 drivetrain. From there, we get into that 2.7-liter EcoBoost engine, which is going to require, the 4x2 with the 8-foot box and the 2.7-liter EcoBoost payload package, which is going to give us 2,480 pounds max for our payload. Next up is going to be our 5-liter V8, 3,325 pounds max payload with the 4x2 drivetrain, 8-foot box, and that heavy-duty payload package. From there, we're going to be taking a look at the 3.5-liter V6 engine, which in the regular cab is going to give you a maximum payload capacity of 3,250 pounds with the 4x2 drivetrain, 8-foot box, and that heavy-duty payload package again. Next up, when we move into the Super Cab configuration, your maximum for that 3.3 engine is going to be 1,905 pounds, again requiring that 4x2 drivetrain and the 6.5-foot box. When we move into the 2.7-liter EcoBoost engine, that's going to require the 4x2 drivetrain and the 8-foot box, and with that configuration, you can get 2,225 pounds inside of the bed of the truck. From there, we've got that 5-liter V8 engine, which is going to max out at 3,010 pounds. We're going to require the 4x2 drivetrain with the 8-foot box and that heavy-duty payload package. From there, the 3-liter turbo diesel, that's going to be able to max out at 1,840 pounds, requiring the 4x4 drivetrain and the 6.5-foot box. Then we move into the 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, which is going to be 2,980 pounds max, 4x2 drivetrain, 8-foot box, and the heavy-duty payload package. Now from there, let's move into the Super Crew. So your 3.3-liter base engine is going to max out at 1,785 pounds, going to require the 4x2 drivetrain and the short box, the shorty, the 5.5-foot box. Moving into the 2.7, it's going to max out at 2,085 pounds with a 4x2 drivetrain, 6.5-foot box, and that 2.7 EcoBoost payload package. From there, the 5-liter V8, 2,900 pounds maximum, 4x2 drivetrain in that 6.5-foot box with the heavy-duty payload package. Moving into the 3-liter turbo diesel, it's 1,805 pounds with the 4x4 drivetrain and either box length, so the 5.5 or the 6.5 foot will give you those numbers. Last one is going to be that 3.5-liter EcoBoost, so second last I should say, 3.5-liter EcoBoost, 2,880 pounds, 4x2 drivetrain, 6.5-foot box, heavy-duty payload package. From there, we've got the F150 Power Boost engine. It's going to give you 2,090 pounds with the 4x2 drivetrain and the 5.5-foot box. So you might have seen a little bit of a recurring theme there. A lot of these things do require the 4x2 configuration, maybe with a longer box. Now, having said that, if you drop down instead, going to that 4x4, or going up to, I should say, to the 4x4 in a shorter box, it's not like you're looking at hundreds of pounds difference. It's going to be maybe, 50, 100, 200 pounds at the very most between these different configuration options. Now, moving into max towing capacity, starting off, we've got the 3.3-liter TI VCT V6, 8,200 pounds max towing capacity, which is going to require that 3.73 axle ratio. When we get into the 2.7-liter EcoBoost engine, it's going to max out at 10,000 pounds towing capacity. Again, available in most configurations, going to require the 3.73 axle ratio throughout, regardless of the configuration for this max towing. When you get into the 5-liter V8, it's going to max out at 13,000 pounds. Available again in most configurations, and it's also going to require that 3.73 axle ratio. From there, we've got the 3-liter turbo diesel V6 engine. This one's going to give us a 12,100 pound max towing capacity, available in some Super Cab and some Super Crew configurations, going to require that 3.55 axle ratio. From there, we move into the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 engine, which is going to give us 14,000 pounds towing capacity, Super Cab configuration of a 4x2 with the 8-foot box in the 373, or the Super Crew configuration 4x2 in either box size. From there, let's look at the power boost. 12,700 pound towing capacity. It's going to give you the Super Crew configuration 4x2 with either box size and the 3.55 axle ratio. So as you see there are some similarities between them. But again, if you don't go with that higher axle ratio, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to suffer a lot. Now, one of the big ones to really consider is that 3.5 liter EcoBoost. So that regular EcoBoost engine, it's going to push out 14,000 pounds of towing capacity, which is crazy. That's something that we would see in an F250 or a 350 instead, but we're now being able to see it inside of the F150. So there's obviously a lot of things to consider when it comes down to figuring out the proper configuration you should be after for your F-150. And that's why you want to make sure you're dealing with somebody that's asking the right questions, but you've got to figure out exactly what you need out of the truck, because there's no sense in getting more than you need, but at the other side of it, you don't want to have too little. When it comes down to towing capacity, one thing that you need to consider is that you have to subtract the amount that you're going to have in the bed of the truck from the overall towing capacity as well. So if you're towing something that's 10,000 pounds, and you've got 1,000, 1,500 pounds in the bed, that means that you're technically towing 11,500 pounds, so your engine options become more and more limited. On top of that, if you're only going to be towing, let's say 5,000, 6,000 pounds, you can get away with most engine choices. But it doesn't go the opposite way, because let's say if you are going to be typically pulling 10,000, 12,000, 13,000 pounds, you might need to look at the 250 instead. And the reason why is because as we start to get closer and closer to the max towing capacity, we don't want to be pulling to max towing capacity all the time. That's how we put too much stress and strain on the engine, which could lead to all sorts of damage and costly repairs. So lots of things that you need to consider when properly configuring an F-150. And on that note, if you have any questions about what type of build you should be after, drop it down in the comments below. Let me know what your requirements are. I'll let you know the ideal F-150 that you should be after. If you have any questions, please make sure that you let me know. And as I said, if you enjoyed the content that I put out in this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the channel. But until I see you guys next time, make sure you stay safe.